3 steps to bulletproof your mindset. Hi everyone, Dan here from The Geek Physique. Welcome back to another video. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. The first step is stress. We're all going to be stressed at multiple points in our life. So you might as well shift the way you look at stress and confront it voluntarily. What do I mean by that? Physically, right? The easiest way you can start doing this is go to the gym or work out at home. Get a physical practice in place. And through doing that, you're going to actually change your relationship with stress. Because when you're lifting weights, when you're running, whatever exercise you choose, when you're hitting the pads, it's gonna hurt at one point. It's gonna make you feel like giving up. The pain is gonna come in, the good pain, right? The pain that knows you're making a difference to yourself. And as you choose to push through that pain, you're making a choice to confront the stress forthrightly. And I am convinced that people that have this kind of practice, that confront stress voluntarily on a day-to-day basis, regularly throughout the week, when actual stress comes in their life besides what they choose to do in the gym and in their workouts, they are much better equipped to deal with that stress. So when something happens at work, yes, it might annoy you in the moment. We're all human. But you think about, okay, how can I overcome this? What can I do to solve this problem? Instead of thinking, the world's against me, my life is over, and all of these self-destructive thoughts. Instead, you think, how can I overcome this? How can I continue to move forward? Because that's exactly what you do in your physical practice. When you're actually working hard in the gym, you're pushing a set to near failure, and you think, how am I going to push for another rep? And it's still a good quality rep, and you push through it, and you grind through it, and you complete the rep. That is a choice you're making to become the type of person who can deal with stress in a positive way, rather than being crushed by it. So make sure you're choosing it on a day-to-day basis, and that way you'll have a better mindset when it comes along in your day-to-day life. And another tip I'm going to give you here on this point of stress is when it comes to your job, and this is what I've often found in my experience and working with our fitness clients, even when they talk to me about their career, because we sometimes advise them on their career as well, it's the parts of your job that you don't choose or you don't really want to do, which you really feel most stressed about. That's the one thing I've noticed about me. That's when I'm most annoyed, like, I can't believe I'm being told to do this, right? And I try and flip it again and say, I'm choosing to do this job. I'm choosing to do this job. I could choose to do another job. And what I've realized running my own businesses and doing a number of different jobs, working for different companies, things like that in the past, is you get to make the choice. So if someone's giving you a piece of work at your job and you really don't like it, you can change it. And again, it's flipping it and choosing to confront it voluntarily and to solving the problem, just like you do in your physical practice. Next is duty. I don't feel motivated. Stop acting on your feelings and emotions and act on duty instead. People have families that we work with. They work full time and they still show up for their families and their work. What makes the gym any different? It's not any different, right? And it's the same thing if you're trying to grow your own business. It's the same thing if you're doing anything for yourself where there's not someone else holding you accountable. And even if you do have a coach or a mentor, right? Or even if you have someone at work, you still have to do the work, right? Because there's a consequence built in. So one thing you can do to really dig deep on your duty is understand your why. Why are you doing this, right? And to go to the extreme end, people at war, they don't choose when to fight the war. It's on their doorstep, and they get up if they haven't slept and they confront it forthrightly, voluntarily, right? Just like I talked about in the first point. And One of the biggest reasons they do that is their deeper why. Why are they there? Why did they choose to serve? All of those things, right? So that might be an extreme example, and you might think, well, it's not the same as war. Yeah, you can say that as a cop-out, right? But the point still remains that if you have a deep why for doing something, then you will do it regardless of how you feel. And that's why people take their kids to school if they don't sleep well or not. That's why they take care of their newborn babies when they've hardly slept, right? And I might not have children, but I know this from working with parents. They're constantly telling me, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this for everyone else, and I'm always left last. So I try and reframe it for them, and we work on putting themselves first. And that might sound selfish, but it's a duty to themselves. They've got duty worked out for their family, for their work. So start thinking about the duty you have to yourself, showing up for yourself, giving from your overflow rather than giving from when you're already empty. And think about this in terms of the gym, like I said, in terms of your career, everything. There are going to be so many days, I would argue more days than there are when you're motivated. There are going to be more days where you just don't feel like doing it. Maybe you feel okay about doing it. And there'll be some days like I felt like today with my workout. I don't want to be here. I don't want to get up. I didn't sleep well. It's the last day of my current plan. And I pushed to failure pretty much on everything in my last week of my plan. And I knew it was going to be tough. It's a legs session. It's always tough if you're actually training properly when you train any part of your body, but especially legs, right? But I just thought, nobody cares how you feel, Dan. The barbell at the gym does not care how you feel, right? It either gets lifted up by you or put down by you, right? It doesn't care about your feelings, and there's something liberating about that. I do believe in mental health being very important for you, but if your physical health is not important to you and you only focus on mental, you have a body. Your mind is inside your body. So if you're doing everything for your mental health but it's still not where you want it to be, you're maybe seeing a counselor, you're doing this, you're doing that. If you have no kind of physical practice, going back to point number one, and you don't have a duty yourself to do it, whether you feel like it or not, right? You have to have a physical practice. It's a non-negotiable, and you have to dig deep on the why to understand that you're going to show up regardless of how you feel. Motivation is not a reliable source for consistency. Discipline is the only reliable source for consistency. Failure is the last step to bulletproof your mindset. Failure is essential to success. Most of the people I speak to who won't commit to their health and fitness, to an actual plan, they say things like, oh yeah, I just kind of go and do what I feel like. Oh, so how are you doing on your goals? I think I'm doing okay. Oh, so what do you have measurably to show for that? Oh yeah, well, I just kind of take it at my own pace. Great. Good luck with that, bro. The thing I find with these people often is they're actually too afraid. They're afraid to fail because they feel like if they commit to something and they fail, then they'll really feel like a failure. And it's kind of like a cop-out, right? At least I didn't try my hardest, and then I've got that as a cop-out. Whereas if you actually try and then you fail, maybe you'll learn something about yourself. The only difference between the person who doesn't try and the person that does try is they both fail. But the one that actually tries learns why they failed and works out how to move forward. The one that doesn't try just learns that they're too afraid to even try. And that's quite a scary thought if you're really honest with yourself and self-aware enough to say, why don't I commit to things? Why don't I actually put a plan in place? Why don't I actually seek out help from a mentor? Because no one in this life that achieved anything worthwhile did it on their own. No one, right? So if I get out my own way, remove the arrogance, remove the fear, and just try, fail forward. Oh, I tried to count my calories for a day and I completely went over my calories. At least you tracked. At least you used the app, right? Oh, I went to the gym and I didn't even know what I was doing, right? I don't even know if I was lifting the right weight. You went to the gym. Last week, you didn't even know how to use the app to track calories. You didn't even really understand calories. You didn't even go to the gym. That is a step forward. Stop comparing yourself to people who have all of this down to a T. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not someone else today. Yes, the world is competitive, but one of the biggest things about actually committing to your goals and being willing to embrace failure is it increases positive emotion, genuinely, on a chemical level. As you move towards your goal, maybe you do fail and you learn something and then you implement what you learn and then you move forward towards your goal. You actually release positive emotions. You actually feel like you're achieving something, right? It's a dopamine hit that's actually something you've earned, rather than going on your phone and scrolling and getting some mindless, pointless dopamine hit, which really isn't worth anything. That's why in video games, there's so many, especially these days, there's so many things which is like a check mark to say you've achieved something. Like in big open world games, there's always like those points where if you unlock it, it reveals the map and you feel like, oh, I've revealed that part of the map. Little bit of dopamine. It's the same thing with your goals, right? And imagine this, you do it all the time. If you play video games, right? You do it all the time. Oh, you try and beat the boss, you failed. You don't just give up on the video game. I mean, if you give up on the video game, if you're giving up on video games that aren't actually real, then I don't even know what you're probably doing in your own life. But you go back, you try and beat the boss again, you figure it out, and then you get a big release of dopamine. You're like, yes, I've beat that boss. That's the same mentality you want to carry in your own life. Break down your goals, break down what you want to achieve in a step that you could take and that you actually would take forward, regardless of whether you're worried about failing or not. And know in your mind that failure may happen, but it's not final. And know that you don't see yourself as a failure because you're trying. It's the people that don't try, in my mind, that are the real failures, right? If someone comes to me and says, yeah, I tried to set up my own business, but we went bankrupt, but I really learned a lot, I will respect that person infinitely more than the person that goes, yeah, I wish I could start my own business, but this reason and this reason and this excuse and this excuse. And you just feel like falling asleep before even they've done with their excuses, right? It's the same thing with your health and fitness. No one's coming to save you, right? But that's empowering. Take that, use that to know, great, it's on me. It's not on anyone else. It's on me. I can change it, right? I need to embrace all of these points. And this is where I'm going to sum up everything, guys. You can see I'm so passionate about this because one of my mentors this week that I'm actually working with, he said to me, you're certainly not afraid of doing the work. And that meant a lot to me because a lot of people talk about, okay, I'm young, okay? I'm 27 at the moment, right? You might say, okay, Dan, you're so young. Why should I listen to you? You don't know anything. And fair enough, right? But if I can help someone 3 to 5 years ago that was on a similar journey to me, then that, I feel like I've done my job, right? So, and that's why I'm doing this, because I want to share what I found helpful in my journey so far, right? Not the finished article, nowhere near it, still learning these things, still trying to work on these things. I practice what I preach. But going back to the point around my mentor, one thing I thought of is I want to be remembered as someone who is actually willing to do the work. Someone that remained consistent no matter the season, no matter if it rained, no matter if they were failing. I've never had a problem personally with just going. One of my things that I'm working on, just to share it with all of you, is learning from my failures. I'm not afraid to fail. It's sometimes stopping for a second and going, oh, why didn't that go the way I wanted to? Maybe we should tweak and then keep moving forward. But the thing I see with a lot of people is they don't even want to try. They don't even want to put in that effort. So I'm going to go through the 3 steps. I hope this video was helpful. The first one was stress. Make sure you shift your mindset around stress because it's going to come and go. You can't eliminate it from your life. That's impossible. So you might as well confront it forthrightly and voluntarily. Duty. Stop acting on your feelings and emotions. Act on duty instead and dig deep on your why so that you do what you need to do no matter what. Failure. Failure is essential to success. So set a goal, commit to it, regardless of whether you're afraid of failure or not. And if you do fail along the way, fail forward and learn from it. I hope this video was helpful for all of you. I'm going to have a link in the description to join our next free 7-day challenge. Okay, we're going to have one just before Christmas, and then we'll probably have our next one at the start of the new year. Okay, so there we cover food, training, and consistency in just 10 minutes a day. It's a task a day. Some of the tasks actually only take 30 seconds to a minute. We do that to prove to you that time is not really your issue. Because if you've got screen time for more than 10 minutes a day, which I know every single person in this video does, and I do as well, I'm as bad as everyone else, right? But you should be using it productively. If you want to use it productively, use just a slither of that time to move forward and to kickstart your fitness goals. 3 of the most popular modules on our free challenge are how to get to your goals without strict diets, how to get to your goals without spending your life in the gym, and how to stay on track without motivation. Covered some of that here already, just to give you a bit of a glimpse into what we talk about in the challenge. So click that link. Let's get you kickstarted on your fitness journey. And thank you for watching this video. Another one should be here or here, and I'll see you in the next one.